Hey, Scott, how you doing? Welcome back to another Down and Dirty. And Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Kim. How are you doing today?
Good. We're broadcasting live at Bold Radio Station. Big shout out to the team at Bold Radio, and of course our awesome producer Nesha, who Nesha every week. I think you two have really bonded. You and Nesha, Scott. I mean,
he's my Wednesday drinking buddy. I love Nesha.
He serves us beer. He certainly does. He serves us beer. He's just a great guy. We've got an amazing dude. He's just an amazing dude. Guest today, Mr. Mark Mawhinney. And so let's just jump right on in. How about that? And bring Mark on out. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing awesome. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, we're doing great. Before we get rocking and rolling here, Mark, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
It's always a tricky question because you wonder how much, how long you have, and
we have an hour.
Yeah,
let's boil 38 years into 10 seconds. So, make a long story short, I classify myself as a serial entrepreneur because my whole adult life I've been an entrepreneur. I wasn't, an entrepreneur at 4 years old or whatever, but So my first phase of my life for many years I was in real estate, and then phase two of my life got into coaching. I've been doing that for quite a while and really having fun. So I'm a coach, and my whole focus of my business is helping other coaches grow their businesses, because I find a lot of coaches have the passion, they want to help people, but they're not sure how to get those clients through the door. So that's really my focus, is helping them structure and grow their business and get clients through the door.
Mark, I'm very privileged or privy to having conversations with you in the past, and knowing that at a very young age you built this amazing real estate business, and with the ups and downs and the ins and outs and the ebb and flows, if you will, of the economy, and taking its toll. And so share with me a little bit how you've transitioned in from that real estate into where you are now, because like I said, I'm privileged. I mean, I've been able to hear your background in real estate, and I'm also getting to sit back and watch you build this awesome, beautiful, coaching business. And I also know Scott because of you.
Yeah, exactly. 6 degrees of separation. Well, yeah. It's a really interesting day to be recording this interview, because as I'm going to shatter the illusion that this is a live show. I'm assuming everyone knows the podcast. Sorry, guys. But as we're recording this is August 11th, 2016, and this is 7 years to the day that my real estate business closed on August 11th, 2009. So this is kind of a weird anniversary, that I'd be celebrating this, but it is a really cool day, because every year I sort of put another notch, kind of imaginary notch in my brain. There's another year passed from that, what seemed like the worst day of my life, Tuesday, August 11th, 2009, which actually became a blessing in disguise, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't have gotten to know you guys and a whole bunch of other cool people. So that's a quick note I want to mention. The funny thing that we're recording this today. But my transition came really by accident. It's not like I got out of real estate, then the next day said, hey, I'm going to start a coaching business. There was, like with any business closure, there's period of grieving and reflection and, some drinking. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I wouldn't be kidding. I mean,
I'm pretty confident that I'll never become an alcoholic in my life, or a drug addict or anything like that, because if it would have happened, it would have happened after the business closure. So I feel
I'm pretty confident I already have, but
I shouldn't joke about that. But anyone who's gone through business closure knows it's almost like the death of a child. Not to trivialize the death of a child, because obviously that's different, but in some ways it is, because you've poured everything into your baby, and treated it like a baby. So there was a period of a couple of years that I call them my wilderness years, lost in the wilderness, where I needed time to sort of, see what the next step was. And I never at any point thought, oh, I'm done with entrepreneurship. I'm going to go grab a 9-to-5 job and, screw entrepreneurship. I knew I wanted to do something else, but it was just a question of what would I want to do. And it was a perfect intersection of time that with the internet and with coaching started to get going where you could actually have a business online. I know you could do it back in the 90s and early 2000s, but not like, at later years. And it came at a perfect time when I became a coach. So everything did work out, for a perfect reason. But when everything closed in 2009, coaching wasn't like it is today. It wasn't as easy, even though that was only 7 years ago. It just was different. So I had a few years in the wilderness. I had a sales position with a telecommunications company here in Atlantic, Canada. Great gig. It was a home office, no one breathing down my neck. It just wasn't my passion. And, I built up my coaching business, kind of did double duty until coaching surpassed what I was doing with that. And then I made the jump full-time coaching, and here we are today.
Well, man, I remember actually, it was funny because I told the story of how we met on the very first show of Down and Dirty, I believe. And I remember sending you an email because I was getting into motivational speaking at the time. I was starting to leave my job. I was getting sick of the retail deal. And I sent you a message saying like, hey, dude, I typed in motivational speakers on Google and I found you. And at the time you were like, man, I'm in real estate, but at least I know my Google ad spend's kind of working, I guess. And then you were like, but I happen to be sitting beside a motivational speaker right now at a soccer game. I'll hook you guys up. And then, shortly, like a little while later, we met for coffee here in my hometown and you were doing the telecommunications thing. And then like a couple of months ago, we had lunch at the casino, and now we're both doing like coaching, consulting, and all this stuff. Like it's amazing how the world moves and how like just even a couple of short years put us in such different positions than we were back then,
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that you reached out to me because you probably thought I was Hitler. I remember you mentioning to me that I think you're talking to someone from my hometown. I've got some lovely friends. I've made some great friends from the whole
you've got some
closure.
haters, man.
And that person you swore would have been, it said something along the lines like, stay away, basically paraphrasing, stay away from that guy. He's the worst human on the face of the earth.
Oh.
It's kind of funny how it all works out. But
you want to paraphrase, I'll tell you exactly what she said. She said,
I thought he.
She literally said, stay away from Mark Mawhinney. The man is a criminal and he'll steer you wrong.
Wow. I love those haters and naysayers. I just love that, how we put ourselves out there almost like politicians, and then
I'm not a lawyer. If I was in law school, maybe I slept during that part where if you go through a business closure, it's illegal. So apparently 9 to 5ers in their cubicle, maybe they know more about law, but it is illegal to close a business in Canada and probably the United States. So if you're an entrepreneur and you fail, you are a criminal. You are horrible.
You are a criminal. That's right.
You better run to the, to change your name, go to an island far away and be gone.
What I found amazing, though, is this woman only decided to speak up after you and I started working together, after you started making me money, after you started teaching me like all of these amazing things. And, after the partnership was good and strong and I already had 100% faith in our relationship, that's what she was like, hey, this guy's going to steer you wrong. And I was like, he's already spent like the last year steering me right.
Well, let me ask, not asking you to name names. She sounds like a very lovely lady. If she's single, I'd love to have her number. But I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and say that she's not running a successful business at the moment. Is that fair to say?
I will honestly say that, and again, let's paint with a broad brush here because I like to stay in my lane and not talk trash, but her situation is less than favorable. She is broke and she is having a rough go, and I think she hates anybody with money, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Enough said on that, but unfortunately
you're right.
Well, see, successful people don't have time usually to run down other people for their success because they're too busy with their own thing, right? They got their own vision and they're putting positive stuff in the world. And I remember George Lucas was being interviewed once, and I'm a big Star Wars fan. I could pull everything back to Star Wars. There's a lesson in there. But George Lucas, someone asked him how he dealt with all the hate that was thrown at him from Jar Jar Binks. The whole, creation of Jar Jar, which is the most reviled character probably in science fiction or movie history. And he said there's two different people in the world. He said there's creators and there's destroyers. And he said, I choose to be a creator, and when you're a creator, you're going to have some destroyers coming at you. So I'm still not letting George off the hook for Jar Jar because it was absolutely horrible. Now, would I spend time launching a campaign and whispering behind George Lucas's back and running him down online over Jar Jar Binks? No, because I enjoy the movies and I prefer to be a creator than a destroyer. But there's some people that are in the other camp where they're just destroyers, and it's too bad because until they shift that mindset, they're not going to be successful. You can't be successful if you're petty, vindictive, you're into gossip, slander, and all this other stuff. It just doesn't go hand in hand with success. And until your friend fixes that or switches that mindset, I wouldn't bet the farm on her.
Well, exactly. And that's one of the things, like when you ended up closing your real estate business, man, I'm sure anything anyone's thought of you or said about you, if you're anything like I have been in this journey, you've thought 100 times worse about yourself at times. And so,
oh my God, yeah. I would be brushing my teeth and I would be like, oh God, you horrible person, you looking across at me. No, some of the crazy things, like I heard it all. Everything short of I was abducted by aliens and, or I'm from Mars. But it was interesting because some of the weird people that crawled out of the woodwork when you go through, people love to kick someone when they're down. So you hear crabs in a bucket, tall poppy syndrome you hear in Canada, and I know it's big in Australia where people will cut down anyone that dares lift their head up above the crowd or whatever. So this was in a time, I remember with our local media, when they actually allowed comments on the websites. Now they've shot them down because, I don't know, their lawyers have told them, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. Back then, anyone could have put anything on their forums and nobody was moderating it. So I could have said, Scott Doucette just stole $15 million from my grandmother and a bunch of seniors, and he killed a couple kids and my dog, and no one would have said anything. So there were people posting on there like, Monkey Boy 1943 was just saying crazy stuff. And it even got to a point, he's a terrible person. I had my house listed with him before, and I saw him at the mall, and he was across the way, and he didn't say hi to me when, and it wasn't, oh, Mark didn't see me. He didn't say hi or whatever. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, that's the worst you can, come on.
But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I find it amazing where, like, you went through the closure, you went through all of the hate and negativity, and, now you're doing this whole coaching thing where you're literally spending all day, every day, building people up and teaching them how to become the best coaches possible, land clients, do webinars, like how to structure their email lists, which, by the way, I'm a huge fan of yours. I don't subscribe to many.
Thank you.
And it's just that what you do with your email list. I'm sure, Kim, you're a subscriber to Mark's list too. Yeah.
I love it. I look forward every day to just the titles. I mean, I cannot wait just to see the titles without even having to click to get into the content. It's just like, ooh, I wonder what it's going to be today. It's like, ooh.
I will freely admit to ripping off a lot of Mark's ideas with his titles. Like, he's the one who gave me the idea to go in and do some catchy ass titles for mine. So,
well, you have to, and I mean, I certainly didn't pioneer it. There's other people who are smarter in the email marketing doing it, but I think people are getting sick and tired of the boring emails that are either boring, salesy, or they're just not giving any value.
One more day, click here. One more day, click here.
I always like the ones where they try to make it look like it's a personal message. So they're like, regarding that thing we talked about last week, and then you click on it and it's spam, or the usual thing, or hey, am I going to see you in San Diego next week, Mark, or whatever, and then it's something they blast.
And they misspell your name and things like that. Yeah, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, and people are getting
important.
So when you hear people saying, "Oh, email marketing's dead. Email marketing doesn't work," and all this stuff, that's not true. It's bad email marketing is dead. It won't work. But good email is going to be around for an awful long time if you're good at doing it. And I think you have to have fun, like you alluded to with the titles and everything. I do like to have fun with the emails because people want to have that little. I'm not saying that it's making their whole week reading my email and they're skipping around happy and stuff.
Oh, some of them do, dude. Some of them really do.
But that's what people want to read.
It's crazy. It really does. It does with that email marketing. It's just that email marketing, podcasting, radio shows. We were just talking about this. A website. People think that all those things are going to change their lives and make them the best coach, or bring in the six figures, when it's a tool. It's all tools towards our business.
You need a product first. You need a product or a service first. That's what amazes me about podcasters. They come to me and they're like, man, I want to become a podcaster and I want to make a shit ton of money. And I'm like, okay, do you have a service and can you invest any?
Yeah.
Well, no. I can't help you then.
Well, there's two parts, like two pieces of the cookie. It's the first is the vehicle, whether it be email, podcasting, videos, whatever it is you're doing. But then the other half is you have to have an actual business, with something that people want, something that people will pay you for. And a lot of people forget that second half. And even if you have the best podcast in the world, it could be giving the secret to life and all this other great stuff in there. If you don't have a way to monetize it, then you're wasting your time. And I applaud people to have the initiative to start podcasts, because you guys all know how much work that takes to do things like that. But if they put that much time and energy into the actual business, they would be much better off.
Yep. And I can honestly say, like, when I started my first podcast, you literally tried to talk me out of the direction I was going, because it was a hard one to monetize. And me being me, stubborn as hell, had to learn my lesson. And, once I actually decided to take a year, do it my way, screw up royally, and then come back and try things your way, the results have been exponential, dude. I'll honestly say that, like, having a podcast that actually addresses my niche, my product, my service, everything, has just been a monumental shift. It's been an amazing change. And I know your show has done some great things for your business as well.
Yes.
Yeah. My business is night and day, pre-podcast and post, so when I look at my business wouldn't be what it is anywhere close without the podcast. It's allowed me to spin out and do some other things with the business as well. But the podcast was the first thing that really got people to know who I was in this world, or in the coaching world, was from the podcast. So I'm a huge fan of podcasting.
But the thing to realize, and the real point to note here, is you had a business. That's why the podcast worked.
I did, yeah. But it wasn't anywhere close to the business I'm at now. When I started the podcast, I literally had one-to-one offerings. That was it for coaching. And then I added group, and then I added online programs, and now I'm working on a membership type, community and all that other stuff. But at least have one-on-one and a strong call to action. This assuming that whatever you're offering works for one-on-one, or have something that you're offering there, because if not, you're driving people there and stuff, but then they have nowhere to go to work further with you or get more help. And I think people are really stuck in the free content mentality. A lot of people think you have to dump tons and tons of free content. I give good stuff with the podcast. I know you do, Scott, and stuff too, but there comes a certain point that you have to hold some stuff back that people have to invest in and put some skin in the game. You can't just get everything handed to you for free, because then they're not going to take it even as serious.
Oh, yeah, you called me a whore because of how much I was giving away for free.
People are going to think this guy's great. He's Hitler, and he calls people whores. So, yeah.
Welcome to the Down and Dirty Show.
Yeah, I mean, putting it in context, just so Kim doesn't think I'm an evil person or anyone else, what I meant was you were giving so much, like you were just giving tons of value, and you were posting in your Facebook group probably 4 times more than I was posting in my Facebook group, The Coaching Jungle, just giving all this good stuff. And people were used to getting all that stuff for free. So when you were switching around to, hey, I deserve to be paid for this, people kind of got their backs up because they were used to getting everything from Scotty for free. And I said that was the problem you're going to have, is you're a bit, pardon my language, but a bit like the town whore who's been, putting out for everybody for years, and all of a sudden she says, you have to buy me a nice dinner, before we do that, before we go back to bed. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I never had to buy you a dinner any of the other times. Why do I have to buy a dinner now? So that's a you're right, Mark, and it's not just Scott that does this. I see this with a lot of people getting started, and Scott, for such a young age, Scott, and I say this a lot, you have a hell of a lot of wisdom in you, and you're a good guy. You're just, you got a big heart,
And so I think, you've just gone through some recent transitions of, having to not step away from your business, but do some things to help the business, had a reality check and came back even bigger, better, and stronger. And sometimes that takes, for all of us to do that. And sometimes it takes people like having Mark in our lives to say, look, stop being the town whore and giving everything away.
Don't be nice, Scott. You're too nice. No, just kidding. Usually nice is good to a certain extent until people take advantage of that, and which can happen in this online world especially. So you're on the right track now, Scott, and that's a secret to success. Don't be nice.
Well, it was one of those things where I do owe a lot of this wisdom to the fact that I want to learn everything, so I soak a lot in like a sponge. But as far as the business side of things, Mark caught me when I was green. Completely green around the gills, had no idea what I was doing. I had a lot of drive and a lot of ambition and a lot of motivation, but I had no direction, no real business, no way to monetize. So all of this has come as a result of working with Mark. And I can honestly say that our Sunday night calls that we pretty much had religiously for 2 years at 7:00 every Sunday, it was pretty much just picking apart my coaching strategy and the way I was doing things and really dissecting it. But also comparing it to what a lot of other coaches out there are doing and seeing where they're at versus someone who's really making it and what they're doing differently. And it was just a lot of amazing stuff, but it was all very subjective. You could kick back and it wasn't just applicable to me. It was applicable to not necessarily generally everybody, but we were able to look at my strategy and then line up 5 coaches who are doing the same thing and see is it working for them? No. Why are you different? So it was a lot of fun that way. And I can honestly say that it was like calling a friend every weekend, because I knew every Sunday at 7 we'd kick back and literally just talk shit about our industry and how I'm doing it wrong. It was a blast. It was a blast.
I mean, awesome to you for laughing, and awesome to you for Googling and, and connecting with Mark and having that mentor, because we all need, that mentor. I know,
oh my God,
Mark,
yes.
you have coaches, mentors, to grow your business to get where it's at. I have too, Scott, you do too. I mean, Scott, you and I have had Sunday morning Skype calls and have done some, a little bit of venting and bitching, and then, just, just masterminding with the show and we all need that. Mark, how did you? I didn't realize, first of all, when we started off on the show, 7 years. I didn't think it has been 7 years. So how did you evolve after going through the grieving process of closing down your real estate business into the coaching world, into the coaching land?
Well, after I actually had 2 stumbles in real estate, 2009, and then I got back in doing some different stuff in 2012. I said, okay, I'm done, with real estate. I've just been there, did it, done it, got the T-shirt. And I look back, and I know there's people probably listening who are in real estate who are having fun. In my experience, a lot of the people I know in real estate aren't having fun, and I just said, I don't want to be 60, 70 years old and doing this. But I didn't know what I was going to do, and the answer was always staring me right in the face, because I'd always been big on personal development, always just devoured it ever since high school when I picked up Think and Grow Rich. It was the first self-help book that I picked up, and I was even doing coaching unofficially through the real estate years. I just didn't know what it was, didn't know that's what it was. And so I kind of stumbled into it. I knew that there's something I wanted to do to, motivate others, help others, and something in that world. And I thought, okay, well, what's it going to be? Is it going to be more speaking, telling my story? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to be writing books? Is it going to be this, and this? And then, I really stumbled into coaching. I was helped by a few coaches, and then I researched it, and I thought this would be a great way to run a business, live a life, and have an impact. So that's how I got into it. I didn't have it all figured out in the beginning, which I think that's a problem for a lot of people, is they think that they have to have the perfect business plan before they can get going. Me, when I got started, I said, hey, I'm a coach and I want to work with entrepreneurs. And that was it. It was very general. And
yes.
Because that's where my heart was, with entrepreneurs. And as time went on, it got refined and, and so on. I happened to stumble across a few clients who were coaches, and I realized that I really love working with coaches. They were the ones that lit me up, and those were the sessions I really enjoyed. So I said, you know what, I'm going to work with coaches, forget bricks and mortar, other type businesses, specifically coaches, and just went from there. So I didn't have it all figured out when I got started, but it was a gradual evolution, like that saying, you got to fall out of the nest and learn on the way down. That's kind of what I did.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that, Mark. I really do. I think a lot of people do that, but it's like, let's swing back around to Scott here. Scott's thirsty, he's hungry, he's a fast learner, and it's so.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I like to help millennials. That was my first business model. It's depending how fast you want to fall to land onto your feet, and just to allow that once we do land on our feet, that there's still some evolution to be going on to the business as we become stronger and clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. So I think a lot of people. No, it doesn't. I just feel that a lot of entrepreneurs out there get stuck in that fall. And, it all, wait a minute. So here, let me quote you, Mark, and I've got a word too. Cheaple and wantrepreneurs, Wantrepreneurs, yeah. I love that one.
Oh, yeah.
98% of the population. It's kind of like the number of people, everybody says they want to write a book. And they probably started, and there's a dusty version in their desk drawer or whatever.
Ooh! I'm one of those. I have like 3 half-finished books on my computer right now.
Okay, well that equals 1.5 books if you add them all together, I guess. But
yeah, but they're all the exact same book. Okay. 3 different renditions of the same start. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's that whole entrepreneur mentality and the cheaple mentality. You mentioned before, Mark, that people are kind of stuck in the free resource side of things, and they never jump up and make the investment. But you've also got these people who start a business, start a book, start a whatever, and then they just get stuck because their roadblocks hold them back. And it might be fear of failing. It might be something, but like they don't pull the trigger after. Well,
there's we as humans are terribly impatient. I think especially entrepreneurs, coaches, and stuff, because we're seeing people out there sharing their success on social media. It's so easy nowadays. And you see people out there putting out their successes. They might be telling the truth. They may be full of it, which happens online.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I woke up this morning and I made $82,000 before I got out of bed. Woohoo! Stuff like that. And so part of the problem is we're seeing those things. And then I've had people say to me, coaches, like, "Oh my God, Mark, what's going on? I've been doing this for 2 months, and I haven't had an $82,000 morning." And I'm like, man, you gotta it takes work, it takes time, energy, patience, peaks, valleys. You can't expect to build any business, whether it be bricks and mortar, online, or anything, in just a matter of weeks, regardless of what those ads say, on Facebook, where the guys rent a yacht, or they have, the bikini-clad women in front of a mansion, or barrels of cash on a bed or whatever. Like, that's all BS, right? It's going to take time to build it up. I find that it could take, ideally to really get a business going, probably 2-3 years. But we're so impatient nowadays that people look and say, "Oh my God, 2 years to build a business, that's too long." 2 years to build a business, that's pretty good in the grand scheme of things.
You know what?
Yes.
I gotta interject here and say one thing though. Like, I've seen the people who have been taking a group coach and stuff, man, and like I've literally been watching people quit their jobs and move into their businesses full time, and it hasn't been 2 years. But at the same time, like, they're taking risks. They're not scared to take these risks so they can really focus on their business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're not just jumping in and firing their boss right out the gate. Like, they're learning things, getting a few clients under their belt, and then making the shift. And, like, I think the shortest time I've seen so far is like 6-7 months. But they're not, quote unquote, successful business people yet. They're making enough that they feel comfortable taking the risk.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I think the person you're referring to was 5 months, not to split hairs. But it was 5 months, and which was great. She set a goal for 9 months to leave her job, which was aggressive but great. I like people shoot high, and it was 5 months, and she was able to transition completely over to full-time coaching. Just this week, we're here in the dead of summer, and she got a couple new one-on-one clients. When people say, "Oh, people can't get clients, it's summer, they're all off on the beach," and forget about it till after Labor Day. Well, now she's got more clients rolling in, and she's going gangbusters. But the way it is nowadays, if I'm going out talking to, let's say, a potential coach, and we look at their plan, and I say, what do you think about making, just throwing numbers out there, like let's say 50 grand year one, 100 grand year two, 150 in year three. People would think, oh no, that's not enough, because Joe Blow with the Facebook ad said I can make 7 figures in 3 months.
90 days.
And I'm like, oh, come on. It's frustrating. But anyways, I would much rather be honest with people and say, here's probably what you're looking at. Because if I get those people there that get rich quick, that expect to make 7 figures in 3 months, then they don't. Then they get frustrated. They quit. They talk about me like your friend Scott was, your lovely friend who I'm hoping single, was talking about me. And that's not going to do any good for them or for me or anything. So I'd rather say, look, just be patient, take a couple years. And as long as you're still growing it and keeping it going in the right direction, going up, you're going to get there. It's just going to take some time.
So
and you're right. And every time I hear get in any conversations or interviews or just anything, it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time. I think we need to press a button and start playing Pink Floyd's song "Time." Ticking away the moments.
Yeah. And you're going to hit some walls. Get it? The wall.
Yeah. The wall. Yeah, exactly. I love Pink Floyd. That was a great album.
Pink Floyd is entrepreneurs on vinyl.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
But yeah, you are going to hit walls.
And you're going to be lost. You're going to feel like you're on the dark side of the moon at times.
Mark, you crack me up. I love this. I am so going to borrow this now. That's it. I'm so borrowing this. But and we need money. I mean, so if you're going to make a transition like that, see, I did that transition many, many, many years ago before there was even an internet with my fitness business here. And my fitness business, I stood in homes where you don't recruit these people online, even if there was online. It's all word of mouth, because I was standing in 10,000 square foot homes. We're very upper echelon of people, and they had a budget where they would write a check monthly for personal training. That was my fitness business almost 30 years ago. But I was working full time in corporate America, climbing those ladders, and then changing out of my business clothes on the expressway into my fitness clothes, getting ready to drive, to whether if I was teaching a class or go see a client. I did that for a whole year overlapping until I finally took that leap of faith, which I was not making that kind of an income in corporate when I first took that leap of faith, but I was making enough money that I could keep some food going on the table, and it had its ups and downs. That first summer in Michigan in my fitness business, I just went, holy shit, I forgot. Everyone leaves in the summertime. They don't want to come inside and work out. They're outside, tennis, walking, traveling. I mean, there was a huge lull. So a lot came out of that, but you have to be prepared. You've got to have some money in the bank somewhere, or you still got to have some kind of income coming in so that you can turn around and invest it into the business as it's growing. And I think that's another fallacy that people either don't want to take on, believe, drink, think, or even speak about it.
Reinvesting, yeah.
There's a great piece of advice I got from a fellow coach, because he still had his job when he started coaching, and he said the way that he looked at that 9-to-5 job is he viewed that as an investor into his coaching business. So he wasn't grumbling and all ticked off and annoyed going into the office every day. He looked at it, he flipped it around to a positive. Hey, this thing is allowing me to build the other thing, and that helped him deal with it. But Gary Vaynerchuk said a really cool thing, which I think is right. He said, if you're not willing to sleep on a floor with 10 other guys, you're not an entrepreneur, which sounds like it's exaggeration, but it's true. You got to be willing to take those, make those sacrifices. Most people, the entrepreneurs out there, they would like to, of course, they would like to run a business and make lots of money and have flexibility and work with who they want to work with and all that stuff. So, but they're not, are they really willing to do that? Or are they willing to, I said in one of my emails a while back, I was talking about the show Better Call Saul, the spinoff from Breaking Bad, and I talked about Saul, the lawyer, willing to dive in dumpsters to get paperwork, and then he pieced it all together. It was paperwork that was shredded in a lawsuit that he was doing, and he wanted it. So he dove in dumpsters with God knows what in there, and then he pieced together these little strips that had been shredded, and it took forever for him and his brother to do it. you got to have that mentality if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. And, it's just telling the truth that most people don't have that mentality.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're right. I mean, I can remember the days, the first year of this radio station. I mean, 11 o'clock at night, I don't function at night. I'm not a night person. Sitting here with my head on my desk, crying and going, oh my God, the technology and having a team to help and having a team that was costing payroll and just getting up and going, screw this, I quit. And then going, okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes. But, it's just really pushing the sleeves up and sweating the bullets and just being savvy and not to be fearful to reach out to like-minded others that either have going through it, whatever, to say, look, I need some help. I just need to have a phone conversation just for some, support. It's having that village is so important, that tribe of going, I know you've been through this. Can I please just let me cry for 5 minutes and then let me sit up and then let me just talk, to people, that have been through it or like I said, going through it. We've all got to pull together and lift each other up, because we're all entrepreneurs, we're working out of the home. There's some days, I don't know about you guys, I feel so isolated and so alone. And that's when I'm like, okay, need to reach out. Okay, need to get up, need to go for a car ride, need to get out. It's like, Mark, I've seen you, like, you'll go to the beach, you get your son, Scott, you're like, time out, going for a drive. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go out of the house today to have lunch, just to change up the scenery, just to remind myself I'm human. I think that's another thing a lot of entrepreneurs are not willing to surrender to.
I felt like Tom Hanks in Castaway. Remember Wilson, the volleyball?
Yes. Yeah.
And I didn't have a volleyball, but I should have got one and put a face on it or whatever, because especially in the winters in Canada, you can imagine it's not exactly beach weather. And there were days, I recall last winter, although we got off pretty easy last winter, it was fairly mild for Canada, but there were days.
Yeah, we only had 7 months of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you could pop your head out of the igloo. But it's easier in the warmer months. Yeah, you can get to the beach, you get to the park and all that stuff, get some fresh air. But in the winters, it's not always great to go outside. And there were days when I'd have 10 Skype calls, or more, right from first thing in the morning till late at night. You wouldn't have time. You have time to grab some water in between, use the washroom, get a sandwich, maybe. But that was about it. And if you have too many days like that, you get a little bit like Tom Hanks in that movie. And that's not good. So you're right. As entrepreneurs, you have to make sure that you're keeping your mental sanity there. Remember, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you have to keep that in mind and practice self-care.
Well, I will honestly say that, it all comes full circle. I'm going to use Kim's line about going full circle here, but we just talked about, people not wanting to reinvest, people feeling isolated, people not, getting gun shy or not having these breakdowns, not being able to get to the next building block. And I honestly think that mentorship is what saved me in all of this. Mm-hmm. I keep going back to it, but it's so important because if you want to reinvest in the single best thing to reinvest in, it's your education. It's to learn something. If you've got money to spend and you don't have a skill or don't know what your next, you have a stumbling block, find someone who can get you over it and hire that person, because they're going to give you support and someone to talk to, because no one knows your struggle better than someone who's been through it. But they're also going to give you tactics and stories and points of note and relation and just someone you can relate to. But at the same time, it's not like just calling a friend a bitch and just destroy, right? You're calling someone who actually has the potential to breathe value into your life. Yes. And actually say, here, I know you're struggling right now, but rather than just going, things will get better, a mentor has the ability to go, things will get better. Here's a 16-page report on how.
Yeah, but something, Scott, again, you are, you're that, Mark was saying earlier, the 90, Mark, and I got to tell you something. I agree with you that 98% out there in the world on social media, whatever, I think it's getting higher. I think it's like 99, and so 1% of people. I mean, we're just going through such a convoluted, energetic arena right now, so to speak. But, Scott, you've got good mentors because you're hungry, you're thirsty, You push your sleeves up. You're not afraid to work. And you keep coming back for more after you've been punched in the face and kicked in the gut and dragged on down the street by the bumper of the car. You're like, get up, woo, let's do that again. You know what I mean? And I think
I had a breakdown 2 weeks ago and I'm back at it. Like, it happens, man.
Yeah, it does. And I think that's why, you know, you've got like a big brother here with, you know, with Mark, and a big sister here with Kim. Me, you know, it's just, you just keep, you're thirsty, you're hungry, and yeah, you do get a little stubborn, and it's normal with a lot of entrepreneurs out of the gate in the beginning. You know, it's my way or hit the highway, and I know it all, which is a whole other show, by the way, you guys. This all of a sudden, hi, I've done one podcast, and I'm a freaking expert in the podcasting industry. Okay, I mean, oh my God, please. Now, I think that's been the trend this year, the trending, not only the 6 figures in 90 days, which is quite frankly, very unrealistic, but is now I am an expert and I'm going to tell you how to run your business. It's like, you've been here 5 minutes. Are you kidding me? You know, give me a break.
Oh, so. I've seen people who have been in this industry a lot longer than me and people who have just jumped in ripping me off lately, ripping my shit clean off. And it's driving me nuts because they say imitation is the highest form of flattery. Go fucking flatter someone else for a while, please, because like I'd like to keep some of my original thought. But at the same time, I've been watching it happen, and I've been so excited because like my shit's working to the point where people are doing it.
Yeah.
So that is really cool. But at the same time, you're right, Kim. Like, I don't know how many people jumped in after me, had Skype calls with me, took my information, and all became podcast coaches.
Well, you know something, you guys, listen, let's say this really loud and clear, live, pre-record on the radio, whatever, you know, and this is coming from behind the scenes, my husband's mouth. I remember I branded Bold a couple of years ago with my first book, Bold is Beautiful. And one thing just led to another with that word Bold, my last name, birth name is Boudreaux. So we branded, and hence Bold radio station, I branded on Bold. It just kills me. And Scott, what you're going through now, it just kills me how I would have, you know, radio hosts, clients, oh, I want Bold radio talk show on Bold radio station, you know, and my husband would sit here in our kitchen and go, what the hell? Can't they think of something else? I mean, come on, can't they be original? And that's the same thing what you're going through, Scott. You know, people just can't think of their own ideas. It's like, come on, be unique. You know, I mean, go to the North Star and beyond, you know, but
I'll raise my hand right now and admit to something. And since Mark is here, I feel like now is a good time to admit it. Dude, I completely ripped you the fuck off with the coaching jungle.
You mean with your group?
I saw how your shit was going on the Coaching Jungle Facebook group, and how like all of these coaches were just coming in and had a place where they could literally feel like they could grow. And I went, man, podcasting needs that.
But see, that's not too bad though. Like,
that's not a rip.
It's not like I was the first person to ever start a Facebook group, and that's it. So yeah, that's maybe you got some inspiration from a few of the things in there. But yeah, that's not too bad. At first, I thought you broke into my house and you took like that safe I had in the closet.
Well, how do you think I got all my market research done?
Yeah,
Mark?
There we go. you know what's really funny is I think of John Lee Dumas. You know, he's a great guy. He's been on the show, and I like John. And he, of course, with Entrepreneur on Fire, now there's friggin' dog catcher on fire, you know, or anything out there that could be possibly branded on fire. And next, it's going to be like strippers on fire. It's like a podcast, escorts on fire or something. And it's the exact same thing, but then they think, okay, I'm just going to plug it in. Or you see other shows have the exact same format as John, and I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing Natural Born this and that have come after, and that's fine. I don't, lose any sleep over it. But John's got everybody, I've seen out there. I won't mention some of the names with pretty much any single niche you can think of is now on fire, blank on fire.
Anything you could light on fire, John Lee Dumas started it. He started a forest fire in the business community.
Yeah, so there's an idea. If you're listening and you're in any niche whatsoever, check out
Light It On Fire.
And there you go.
Light It On Fire, yes.
But the reason John made it work, he was a pioneer on that end with it, and it's not as simple. Everybody wants that easy paint by numbers, plug and play. Let's just do what John did. Let's do what Kim did. Let's do what Scott did or Mark did. And it's not that easy because there's so many other variables. You got your personality, market conditions, the timing, all this other stuff. So it's not as easy as just saying, I'm going to rip off whoever with whatever idea that they have. You have something else to put in there. You got to have more than just saying, I'm going to take the title of something or whatever idea. You got to bring more to the table than that. And that's what people forget about. Again, it goes back to humans being lazy. They just think that, okay, I'll take whatever, and then there's guaranteed success. And there's no magic bullet out there, regardless of whatever someone's trying to sell you. There are no magic bullets.
No, people have to love and trust you. Like, that's the bottom line, I think.
Well, you're right. They do have to love and trust and all that. And it's like, it's like Mark was saying, John Lee Dumas, on fire. And now, people are doing doobies on fire. Like you said, pole dancers on fire and all that. I have to tell you, I've had a couple clients break contracts, leave and go start these internet radio stations. And I just sit back and, for my first initial reaction is I cross my arms and I'm like, really? What the fuck? Come on. You know what? Come on. And then I sit back and go, oh, no, this is going to be better than going to the movies. Bring it on. This is going to be a comedy act, and you see them struggling up and down. I mean, it's no easy feat having an internet radio station. It is no easy feat having a podcast because, thank you very much, I'm part of the PDC. I mean, the questions in there, because I've never podcasted, I really have no idea, so I'm learning a lot. My God, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into the podcast. I'm thinking, holy shit, not in a million years. So it's people look at white picket fence and I'm going to copy this. And you can't because you're not Kim, you're not Mark, you're not Scott. And then it's not all what it seems behind the scenes. And, we're not going to share all our blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes. I don't really feel that it's necessary. But, it's like, oh, hi, I did my own book, so now I'm going to have a publishing company. And they don't know the first thing about publishing. It's like, come on, you get on in there. It's okay to do that, but get on in there.
Bullshitters on fire.
The reason why it works for Mark and yourself, Kim, and myself and the JLDs of the world and the Dan Merediths and, these guys is they actually have a loyal community that loves and trusts them, not their brand.
Yes.
Not the on fire part, not the paint by numbers part. It's them that the people fall in love with. And then after that, when so many people are singing your praise and your name that you don't even have to introduce yourself anymore. I had a sales call last week. Literally someone called me and I was like, hey, how did you hear about me? And they said, oh, my friend's been raving about you for 2 weeks saying Scott's the man. And so I figured I had to call you and get this done. He had already booked me in his head before we talked. And that's the part that people are missing is you need to create so much trust and love within your community and within the people who are around you that they think of you first before anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's such an important thing. And you don't do that by learning tactics or humbugging people or tricking or manipulating people. You get that by literally getting in and creating good, solid relationships and helping people out. I send people business and referrals, and then I book them sometimes, and they give me discounts, or they think I'm cool shit, or they even give me free stuff because they're like, nah, you sent me business before. We're good. Or, you get in and you treat everybody great. You can't just I can't jump into the fitness business scene right now and rip off someone who's doing well in fitness and steal their name and their title and some of their stuff and expect to do as well. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Hey, you guys, let's, Mark, tell everyone, please, how we can all get in touch with you.
Best spot is obviously the website, naturalborncoaches.com. And the other place, if people want to check it out, the Facebook group that you guys had referenced to have is there's a couple thousand awesome coaches in there. It's called The Coaching Jungle. And if you go to thecoachingjungle.com, that will take you there.
Awesome. Nice. Awesome so much. All right. There's one question, Scott. Go ahead before we wrap up the show. I know you're itching and anxious to ask Mark.
It's because we haven't done this in a while. Mark's been, he's been stepping up his game. I've been stepping up mine. We haven't connected to do this in so long. Mark, what's been pissing you off lately?
Well, and that's always tricky, the last 30 seconds, because that's a month-long daily series we can do.
That's why we talked an hour a week.
It's not an issue of coming up with something. It's trying to narrow down what annoys me about my industry in general, or just about
about your industry, man.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the people who blatantly are just full of it. I saw it just recently in a group. Not saying any names. I know it's a girl who isn't setting the world on fire in the coaching industry, and she's claiming she made a couple $1 million last year, and that's a pretty high number, for somebody to claim. If when you see that, you just kind of shake your head, because I'm thinking, come on, like, you don't have to do that to get business, and you probably feel like crap if unless you delude yourself into believing it. Maybe she is like certifiably nuts. I don't know. Maybe she believes it, but I know that she probably didn't do that much. But at the end of the day, you ignore them and do your own thing, because I think the cream rises to the top. There's people out there that are full of it, and they can maybe get a few clients and stuff like that, but pretty soon the industry has a way of weeding them out, and I see that. I've seen it happen time and time again in the coaching industry and in others. So I think that you just have to keep your horse blinders on, focus on your own race, your own lane, and not worry about those. But that's one thing that really irks me, is that it's a wild west of the internet. Anyone could just say whatever the heck they want, like, woohoo, I made $82,000 this morning, when they've got 18 cents in their bank account.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. There's such a convolution. It's just such fraudulent out there on the internet, and trust me, I know a lot of them, because if the three of us were to invoice a lot of these people a $25 invoice, they couldn't pay it. They don't have a pot to piss in, and it's sad, but don't sit there and start doing that law of attraction crap and lying like that, because that's what cream. That cream that rises to the top. That's a law of attraction. That's what bites people in the butt.
It's not a client till the money's in the bank. So I think what a lot of them do is, let's say they introduce a program that's $10,000, whatever they're selling, a retreat or one-on-one or whatever, and they get someone that said, I might be interested in that, follow up with me next month, and suddenly it's, woohoo, I got a $10,000 today, or they get paid one check for $10,000, and then that darn thing gets circulated for the next three years.
I know who you're talking about.
I've seen these checks. I'm sick and tired of seeing these damn checks. I shouldn't be seeing the same one for 5 years, right, or whatever. And I'm like, have you made any other checks that you'd like to show us? You could literally take 2 seconds if you're good on Photoshop and stuff like that to do up a check like that and share it around. And it's those kind of things. I kind of look at the top guys in the industry and I say, would some of these guys be doing it? Like Tony Robbins. Not everyone's a Tony Robbins fan, but is Tony Robbins sharing copies of checks around in spammy posts? No, he's not.
And does the CEO of GM, which is right here in my backyard, does she do that? And does the CEO of Ford Motor Company? I mean, are they doing this? I was like, no. And are they hovering over their social media? No, because they are busy running businesses, and that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah. No, they don't throw the word billions around. And I just read a book that talked about that. Is billionaires don't talk. They kind of put the word billion up on a bit of a pedestal. I'm sure some of them are a lot of them are arrogant assholes. Maybe, I don't know. But they don't go around saying that, like, hey, I'm worth this much. How are you doing? How's the weather? I'm worth $5.2 billion or whatever. And you can usually tell who's full of it. It's usually the people that are saying it too much. I don't know if they're trying to prove something from their childhood or something like that, but there's something going on there where they feel like they have to, go overboard, So I'm all for celebrating your successes. Definitely celebrate your wins, but you don't have to lie when you're doing it either. You can be honest about it too. People still love you.
I agree. I totally agree. You're right. You don't shake hands with, what, like you said, a millionaire, a millionaire or a billionaire, and then he says, like, hi, I'm worth this, and you just don't, and Mark, when you were in the height of your real estate business, you weren't shaking hands and saying, hi, I'm a 6-figure earner in the real estate, but you just don't do that. So to me personally, when someone does do that, I raise a red flag and I'm thinking, okay, what is it that they have to prove? And is this really true that they have to verbalize this? More power to you that you're doing it if you are doing it. But when people have to really express that, I feel there's something lacking there. There's something missing there.
True. Kim?
Yeah.
Can we please name this episode Down and Dirty and on Fire? And also,
yes,
because you haven't said it yet, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. We're gonna get John's lawyers after you. Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost here at the top of the hour, but real quickly, yes, Marco's already said it's supposed to be live radio, but we're pre-recording. This is August 11th. I want you both to know, last night, August 10th, Hillary Clinton was right here in my city in someone's home doing some private thing, and it was like all major hush hush. And my one fitness client is a retired judge, and I'm like, okay, you don't know this? He goes, no, because my checkbook doesn't open up and write 50,000 to 100,000 to her campaign. I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm like, oh, those people are doing that? He's like, yes, and I'm like, oh, got it, So yeah, she was here somewhere in the area last night.
Cool.
No, and all I can say is Donald Trump. Okay, on that note, we're down and dirty on fire. Another down and dirty on fire with Mark Mawhinney, and of course my cool baby brother, my baby biz brother, Scott. Yeah. Mark, thanks for stepping on in and being our guest today. We really
thanks for having me, guys. I had fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. Everyone, get on out there. Make it a great week. Get down and dirty. If you don't want to get down and dirty, whatever, it's your choice. And Scott, I'll hear you and see you next week. And thanks so much, everybody, tuning on in. Bold Radio Station, same place, same time. Take care.